All right, so we're deep diving into strategic workforce planning today.
Yeah.
Buckle up. I read through all this research and wow, it's a lot more interesting than it sounds at first.
Right.
We're talking about future-proofing companies by future-proofing their workforces.
Absolutely.
It's not just filling desks.
It's like the difference between just inviting people to a party and carefully crafting a guest list, to make
Okay.
sure there's a dynamic and engaging atmosphere. You're thinking about the right mix of skills, personalities, experiences to achieve a very specific goal.
I like that analogy.
Right.
So instead of just randomly hiring,
Yeah.
strategic workforce planning is about knowing exactly what you need from your team. Not just now, but years down the line.
Exactly. It's about connecting the dots between where a company wants to go
Yeah.
and the people who will get them there.
Okay, so how does this whole connecting the dots thing actually work?
You think of it like building a house. You wouldn't just start laying bricks without a blueprint, right?
Right.
Strategic workforce planning is that blueprint. And just like any good plan, it starts with taking stock of what you already have.
You mean like a skills inventory?
Exactly.
Going beyond just job titles and actually looking at what each person can do.
Exactly. It's about uncovering hidden talents and understanding the true potential within your existing team. You might discover someone in accounting who has a knack for graphic design, a hidden talent that could be incredibly valuable down the road.
That's amazing. It's like unearthing hidden treasure within your own company.
Mm.
So you've got this clear picture of your current talent pool. What's next?
That's where things get really interesting. We need to gaze into the crystal ball and try to predict what skills your company will need in the future. We call this a workforce forecast.
So you're saying we need to become fortune tellers now. I'm not sure I have the hat for it.
Don't worry, no crystal ball is perfect. But by analyzing trends in technology, your industry, even the overall economy, we can make educated guesses about what the future holds. For example, if you're in the tech industry, you know that staying ahead of the curve on new programming languages is crucial for future success.
So you're saying companies need to adapt their workforce just as quickly as technologies change. That sounds like a pretty big challenge.
It is, but this proactive approach is what gives companies a competitive edge. They can start training their current employees or actively recruit individuals with those in-demand skills.
So rather than reacting to a skills gap when it's already a problem, you're saying companies can stay ahead of the game and be prepared for anything.
Exactly. And that's where action plans come in. These plans bridge the gap between what skills you need and how you'll acquire them.
So it's like a roadmap guiding companies on how to develop their workforce strategically.
Precisely. For example, let's say your workforce forecast reveals a growing need for data analysts in your company. Your action plan might involve investing in data analysis training programs for your current employees, partnering with universities to attract new graduates with those skills, or even exploring the possibility of outsourcing some data analysis work to specialized firms.
Wow, that makes so much sense. But how do you make sure these plans don't just sit on a shelf collecting dust?
That's where the fourth component comes in: control and evaluation. It's all about tracking progress, measuring results, and making adjustments along the way. Think of it as a feedback loop, constantly fine-tuning your approach based on real-world data.
It sounds like strategic workforce planning is an ongoing process, not a one-time fix.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture of agility and adaptability, constantly learning and evolving to meet the ever-changing demands of the business world.
That makes a lot of sense, especially in today's fast-paced environment.
Mm.
You mentioned talent management earlier as a key challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Could you elaborate on what that looks like in the context of strategic workforce planning?
Absolutely. Companies are grappling with a wide range of talent management issues, from attracting and retaining top talent in a competitive job market, to upskilling their existing workforce to keep pace with technological advancements. It's about creating an environment where employees feel valued, supported, and empowered to reach their full potential.
It's easy to get lost in the details of this, but let's remember it's all about people.
Exactly. And one key way to achieve that is through a values-based approach to strategic workforce planning.
So instead of just seeing employees as resources, companies are acknowledging their humanity and investing in their well-being.
Absolutely. They believe that by creating a positive and supportive company culture, people will be more engaged, more motivated, and ultimately more successful.
It makes sense that companies are moving in this direction. People want to work for companies they believe in, right? That's where succession planning comes in, right?
Exactly. Succession planning is a critical component of strategic workforce planning.
So it's not just about finding a replacement for the CEO. It's about having a plan for every level of leadership in the company.
Exactly. It's about ensuring that the organization have a pipeline of talent ready to take on key roles whenever the need arises.
And what are some common mistakes companies make when it comes to succession planning? And what are some of the best practices?
One of the biggest mistakes is waiting until the last minute.
That's really important. It's not just about shoving someone into a role. It's about making sure they're the right fit for the position, and that they want the position.
Absolutely. It's about being proactive, but also being mindful of individual preferences and career aspirations.
So how do companies decide where to focus their efforts? It's not like every role is created equal, right?
Exactly. They identify what they call pivotal jobs. These are the roles that are essential to their success.
So they're not just looking at all jobs equally. They're strategically prioritizing the roles that have the biggest impact on the company's bottom line.
You've got it. And it's not just about the jobs themselves, it's about the skills and competencies required for those jobs.
Okay, so they've got their list of pivotal jobs. Now what? They're not going to just magically find the perfect people for those roles, are they?
That's where workforce demand forecasting comes in.
Wait, so they're essentially making educated guesses about the future. That sounds like a tricky thing to do.
It is. Workforce demand forecasting is more of an art than a science, but it's still a crucial part of the planning process.
And if they predict that they'll need a certain set of skills, how do they actually get those skills?
That's where the make or buy decision comes in. Do they hire people with the skills they need, buying, or do they invest in training their current employees to develop those skills, making?
That's a huge decision, and it really comes down to a balancing act between the company's resources, their goals, and the specific skills they need. So let's say a company goes through this whole process, makes predictions, develops action plans. How do they know if it's actually working?
That's where control and evaluation come in. It's all about tracking your progress, measuring your results, and being willing to adjust your plans as needed. It's like fine-tuning a recipe. You might start with a basic plan, but you taste as you go and make adjustments to get the flavor just right.
I like that. So you're constantly checking in, making sure you're on the right track, and not afraid to make changes if something isn't working.
Exactly. It's an ongoing process, not a one-time fix. The business world is constantly changing, so your workforce planning needs to change along with it.
We've covered so much ground today, from talent inventories to pivotal jobs to the make or buy decision. What does it all mean for our listeners?
Strategic workforce planning is about looking ahead, anticipating challenges, and making sure you have the right people with the right skills in the right roles at the right time. It's about creating a more resilient and adaptable organization that can thrive in a world of constant change.
It's about moving from a reactive approach to a proactive one, staying ahead of the curve and ensuring that your company has the talent it needs to achieve its goals.
Absolutely. And it's not just for big corporations. Even small businesses can benefit from strategic workforce planning. It's about being intentional about your workforce and thinking strategically about your people.
So for anyone listening who's feeling a little overwhelmed, remember, it's a journey, not a sprint. Start by asking yourself some key questions. What are your company's long-term goals? What skills will you need to achieve those goals? What are your biggest talent challenges?
Once you have a better understanding of your starting point and your desired destination, you can begin to develop a roadmap for getting there. And don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. There are plenty of resources available to support you.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of strategic workforce planning. We've covered a lot of ground today, but hopefully you're walking away with a better understanding of why it matters and how it can help your company succeed in today's rapidly changing world.
It's all about creating a more adaptable, resilient, and future-ready workforce.
And who wouldn't want that? If you'd like to explore this topic further, maybe you have a question about your own company's workforce planning. Send us your thoughts. We're always up for a deep dive. Until next time.